What's your number one obscure animal fact? The American bison is the only animal in which both lungs share a common cavity. In every other animal the lungs are separated. What this means is that when shot by an arrow, both lungs would collapse and the buffalo would suffocate quickly. For other animals, being shot in the chest would only collapse one lung, and they would at least have a chance. That's why such a large animal could be taken down with relatively small weapons. Every time I think or bison I feel real guilty for killing off the last of them all for money in Red Dead Redemption. A snail has over 2,000 teeth. Dragonflies have the best successful kill rate of any creature on Earth. What do they mainly kill? Midges and mosquitoes. They're the unsung heroes of the insect world. Edit. So help me God, if one more person tells me they read it as midgets I will kill all the fucking dragonflies. Sloth hands work opposite to ours. They have to exert energy to open their fist and relax to close it. This is how they can hang from trees while they are sleeping and not fall off. Some squid have toroid-shaped donut brains and their esophagus, throat, passing through it. If they eat something too big they can get brain damage. Some species of burrowing tarantula let tiny frogs live in their burrows. The frogs are kept safe by the big, mean-ass spider, and in exchange, they keep the burrow free of pests too small for the tarantula to deal with. This is pretty much how cats were domesticated. Tiny frogs are tarantula cats. A green sea turtle can swim faster than Usain Bolt can sprint. An animal out there with a house for a body can swim at speeds we don't allow in playground zones 35 miles per hour. Dogs may make social judgments about people based on how those people treat their owners. A study out of Japan had dog owners asking two people for help opening a container. There were 3 possible outcomes. A person reacting negatively by refusing and turning away, a person remaining neutral, and a person helping. The dogs were then offered food from the people the owner had approached for help. Dogs were much less likely to accept food from the people who had refused to help their owners, and much more likely to accept food from those who had been neutral or who had helped. Koalas are fucking horrible animals. They have one of the smallest brain to body ratios of any mammal. Additionally, their brains are smooth. A brain is folded to increase the surface area for neurons. If you present a koala with leaves plucked from a branch, laid on a flat surface, the koala will not recognize it as food. They are too thick to adapt their feeding behavior to cope with change. In a room full of potential food, they can literally starve to death. This is not the token of an animal that is winning at life. Speaking of stupidity in food, one of the likely reasons for their primitive brains is the fact that additionally to being poisonous, eucalyptus leaves, the only thing they eat, have almost no nutritional value. They can't afford the extra energy to think. They sleep more than 80% of their fucking lives. When they are awake all they do is eat, shit, and occasionally scream like fucking Satan. Because eucalyptus leaves hold such little nutritional value, koalas have to ferment the leaves in their guts for days on end. Unlike their brains, they have the largest hind gut to body ratio of any mammal. Many herbivorous mammals have adaptations to cope with harsh plant life taking its toll on their teeth. Rodents, for instance, have teeth that never stop growing. Some animals only have teeth on their lower jaw, grinding plant matter on bony plates in the tops of their mouths. Others have enlarged molars that distribute the wear and break down plant matter more efficiently. Koalas are no exception. When their teeth erode down to nothing, they resolve the situation by starving to death. Because they're fucking terrible animals. Being mammals, koalas raise their joeys on milk, admittedly, one of the lowest milk yields to body ratio. There's a trend here. When the young joey needs to transition from rich, nourishing substances like milk, to eucalyptus, a plant that seems to be making it abundantly clear that it doesn't want to be eaten. It finds it does not have the necessary gut flora to digest the leaves. To remedy this, the young joey begins nuzzling its mother's anus until she leaks a little diarrhea, actually fecal pap, slightly less digested, which he then proceeds to slurp on. This partially digested plant matter gives him just what he needs to start developing his digestive system. Of course, he may not even have needed to bother nuzzling his mother. She may have been suffering from incontinence. Why? Because koalas are riddled with chlamydia. In some areas the infection rate is 80% or higher. This statistic isn't helped by the fact that one of the few other activities koalas will spend their precious energy on is rape. Despite being seasonal breeders, males seem to either not know or care, and will simply overpower a female regardless of whether she is ovulating. If she fights back, he may drag them both out of the tree, which brings us full circle back to the brain. Koalas have a higher than average quantity of cerebrospinal fluid in their brains. This is to protect their brains from injury should they fall from a tree. An animal so thick it has its own little built-in special ed helmet. I fucking hate them. TLDR, koalas are stupidly key, STI-riddled sex offenders. But, hey, they look cute. If you ignore the terrifying snake eyes and terrifying feet. The ketchup bottle is designed after a horse's anus. Spider fact, did you know that spider webs are initially liquid? Upon coming into contact with the air, the web hardens, creating a substance that is 5x stronger than steel. It is believed that, if a spider could produce threads as thick as a pencil, they would be strong enough to stop a plane in flight. However, farming silk from spiders was largely impossible, both due to the quantity of the silk, and due to the fact that the spiders would attack one another. For this reason, scientists have genetically engineered goats with spider DNA that can produce silk through their milk. They are called spider goats, and they are chimeras, a creature with the genetic information of two animals. In this case, the genetic information comes from two different species, both animal and plant fact. Avocados were evolved to be eaten by the giant ground sloth. Imagine a sloth, but so massive it could only live on the ground. The flesh attracted the sloth and the very large seed was designed to travel through their intestinal tract for reseeding, or whatever plants do. Humans killed the sloth, but loved the avo. We domesticated the avo to increase the yummy flesh. The pit has gotten smaller, but is still very large. Whenever you eat an avo, think of the long extinct giant sloth. I've said this in my own thread, but I'll say it again. Porcupines climb trees and come down backwards and use their tail to feel for the ground. Sometimes their tail will hit a branch and they will think it is the ground, and so they will jump off and impale themselves. Over time they evolved to have antibiotics in their quills so when they fall out of trees they don't die. Coral is an animal related to jellyfish. Many coral species have a symbiotic relationship with a microorganism called zooxanthellae, which lives in their tissue and photosynthesizes like a plant, converting light into organic energy. Corals also deposit calcium carbonate and build huge geological structures called reefs. The most massive structure ever created by any living organism on planet Earth is a coral reef. Corals are like a cross between animals, plants, and rocks, and they are incredibly important for the health of our oceans, because reefs serve as a nursery for many marine species. Save the reefs. I already commented, but this didn't fit my penis facts collection. Crows are absurdly intelligent. We all know they have very good problem solving skills, like throwing a nut onto a road and picking the remains when the lights turn red. But they have social structure. They punish crows who have stolen food from younger crows. They avoid areas where a lot of crows have died. They don't caw during funerals. And when a crow dies, its buddies come examine the corpse to see how it died, so they can avoid a similar fate. Yes, crows understand the concept and are afraid of death and try to avoid it at all times. To add to this list, crows have been found to keep a like/dislike list of people. If you're routinely nice to crowd they remember and will treat you in kind. If you're a dick to them, well they will repay that accordingly too. Wombat shit is cute also. Due to island gigantism, the ancestors of the wombat were the size of hippos, meaning that ancient wombats could literally shit bricks. Thanks for watching.